I really like this episode because it actually pushes the story or plot forward compared to any other episode which we have been introduced to, because remember, from episode 1 to episode 10, all we get is a little bit of story as well as a little bit of filler, which apparently Kishimoto is the one who is pushing for this. So I think the whole filler idea with the whole Naruto series has really gotten to his head, to the point where he himself is requesting filler, like the whole Kagemasa thing. For those who don't really know Kagemasa, the whole Kagemasa thing is actually filler that Kishimoto himself requested to be added into the anime. So with all that being said, let's start with our review. Now we start our review at a hospital where Sumire wakes up, because we did not see the whole rescue scene since Naruto did it, so it's not really something exciting since we already know what Naruto is capable of. So we have Sumire here who is listening to all these people apologize to her. We have Namida and Wasabi who are apologizing to her, as well as Sarada who showed up to the hospital. And the whole operation thing which they carried out, I wonder why Sarada was not there to actually help out. Boruto pops up and apologizes to Sumire, but then he overdoes it and Sumire gets flustered. So we have Sarada who grabs Boruto and tells him to get the fuck out, because apparently he's overdoing it and Sumire needs some rest. So she pushes out Boruto, and I know people are gonna start hating on Sarada for doing that, but you know, she is like Sasuke and Sakura combined, so you know they are like the ultimate asshole. They were like the ultimate assholes in their childhood, so it's like, why would you be surprised if their child ended up that way as well? But eventually Sarada is gonna, you know, mature up and be a mature person in terms of considering people's feelings before taking action. So I hope everyone can bear with that. Specifically in this moment, we get a lot of character development for Boruto. So now people cannot compare Naruto to Boruto in terms of behavior, because Boruto is a person who is responsible for everything he does, or at least he tries to own up for his mistakes, and we have Naruto who is the casual loudmouth who says whatever comes to his mind without considering people's feelings. So in terms of them being children, this is the difference between Naruto and Boruto, and I really like the fact that they are bringing a more mature characteristic into Boruto's persona. Naruto swoops in to grab Boruto by the ear because he was not minding his business, which was posting letters, and he got involved into the case, and he pretty much tries to tell Boruto to stay out of the case, but then Shino steps in and tells Naruto to believe in Boruto once again. Pretty much Naruto is trying to tell Boruto and the rest to stay out of the whole situation because they do not know the art of battle. It's like, yo, look who you are talking to. You are talking to a person who knows the shadow clone, as well as, you know, decent combat skills, as well as someone who knows the shadow possession, and a artist who can actually draw and use the super B scroll, as well as use the mind control since his parents taught him the jutsu. And then we have a nigga with sage mode. Like, I think the person who should be worried is the person after these attacks. Shino told Naruto that even though they are kids and are not used to real battle, they are still people who can handle themselves, and the proof of this is when they handled Shino when he was possessed by the Nue. The next scene highlights something really important. Now we have Namida and Wasabi who leave Sumire alone in the hospital because their parents came to get them since their injuries were not that severe compared to Sumire. Now we have Sumire who's staring out the window, and we get two confirmations. First of all, the parents of Wasabi are actually not Kiba and Tamaki, since people were thinking that Wasabi is more of a cat person, so that means that the kid probably comes from Tamaki since she is a cat person as well, while Kiba is a dog person. So they were associating Wasabi with the characteristics of Kiba and Tamaki. However, if we look at her parents, they look nothing like Kiba and Tamaki, okay? So definitely it has been confirmed that these two are not the parents of Wasabi. The second thing is how Sumire actually looked outside the window. Now in the window you can see the parents of Wasabi and Namida, and the thing about this scene here is that Sumire is actually an orphan. For those who don't know that Sumire is, she is actually an orphan, and the thing is that her friends actually have parents to go back to after an incident, a person who can actually care for them, but in her case she grew up as an orphan, so she doesn't really have that parental figure to look out for, or at least to be worried about her. Now the orphanage of Konoha has Kabuto, who represents the father for all these orphans within Konoha, so I'm guessing that maybe Kabuto would be representing her father. But from what it looks like, since Kabuto or no one from the orphanage actually came to visit her, I'm guessing that she's living alone, just like Naruto started living alone even before he became Genin. So Sumire definitely lives alone, and it shows the loneliness that Naruto once had when he was a kid and all alone. But the thing about Naruto is that he actually used his shadow clone to fill the hole of the loneliness. Even though it did not do the the job, he still had something to compensate for his loneliness in a way. But with Sumire, she does not have anything or anyone. Now, the saddest thing about this is that sometimes it is the nicest people who have it bad on the down low. And there are a few things which I've learned about people who are lonely in the world, and this does not really apply to every single person who is lonely in the world, but sometimes if someone is lonely, they really get desperate for companionship, and sometimes they really get desperate to the point where they allow everyone in, with the only question being whether the person they allowed in is going to be a good influence or a bad influence. Good case scenario, the person changes them into being a more sociable person. Worst case scenario, the lonely person who allowed people into their circle becomes more damaged mentally because of the experience they have had with the person they allowed in, thus rendering them to become more antisocial, or sometimes they can just completely block everyone out. So in terms of this, we are talking about Sumire's character, who was already an orphan suffering from loneliness as it is. So whoever this person is that is going to come to help Sumire survive all this ordeal that she's going through, I hope that it's a positive person. Obviously at school she has her classmates, but the question is, who does she have when she comes home? And that is the issue, since she really doesn't have anyone and lives alone. In Naruto's case, he actually had friends who encouraged him to be the best version of himself, and that is why he is where he is today. And with that being said, that actually adds more character development onto Sumire as a person. Oh, and we also get a little cameo of Sakura doing what she is good at, which is healing. The last time we really got any mentions of her occupation, she was working alongside Ino in a little clinic within the Konoha hospital. So I think maybe as time progresses, she has actually taken over the hospital and is actually running everything. So we have the mailman, or at least the boss, who comes whining saying you should have delivered your mails, blah blah blah. No one gives a fuck about what he says because he's irrelevant anyways. But at this point, I really noticed that something is going to happen to this mailman, because we know that the target of the dark chakra beast, or Nue, right, is people who have negative energy. So basically the beast feeds off negative energy, and this guy's negative energy was building up. So I thought maybe this guy is a candidate for the Nue, and the thing is, it actually happened in this episode, which we will get to. The boss keeps whining and Boruto's like, nigga, whatever, and then they just go on to deliver the mails and shit. Now I started suspecting Mitsuki because of something that he does. Now in this episode, we see that Boruto and Shikadai are actually looking for people who might be possessed by this Nue, right? But then out of nowhere, Mitsuki disappears for a very long time, and once he comes back, an attack has already happened, and this happened twice. And we already know that Mitsuki most likely knows something about this Nue thing and everything that is going on. So the fact that this guy literally disappears for a long period of time and then returns whenever the attacks are done is really suspicious. And in this episode, we find out that Mitsuki is potentially working for the person who is behind these attacks. And in this episode, we have Detective or Sherlock Sai, who gets a Hashirama leaf which was produced by whoever caused the attacks, and apparently their decryptor can decrypt leaves and find the truth behind the cause of the attacks. The reason for Mitsuki working with this guy better be good, because people are gonna hate the shit out of Mitsuki for doing this, since he is actually playing with people's lives. If the only reason why he wants to work with this guy is to find out whether Boruto is his son or not, that would be actually a really bad excuse to put people's lives in danger. I mean, have you seen the guy in the Konoha hospital which Sakura is healing? This guy looks like someone has sucked the life out of him, and it looks like the person is still sucking, like he got the ultimate dome from a bad bitch. Look at this nigga, he looks half dead. Okay, so the fact that Mitsuki is actually playing with people's lives just to find out one little detail would actually be very negative character development for him. But then again, he doesn't really care, and that is his catchphrase. He always says, but I don't really care. So the fact that he is being selfish and trying to find out things just because he wants to, or just because he needs to, would be logical, since he really does not have sympathy or any common sense. Boruto and the rest devise a plan to stop the person behind the Nue attacks, and it turns out that the person has been watching every single step, since they are probably aware that Boruto has the eye which is able to see the Nue's chakra, and since Boruto has been able to see the chakra and stop multiple of these people, then it's logical for whoever is behind the attacks to target Boruto as the person to avoid. So obviously Boruto and his team spread out through Konoha, meaning that the post office is the only blind spot left, and the person actually falls bait to the whole plan and he attacks the mail boss in the mail center. And if I can recall told correctly, Shikadai is a person who actually devised this whole plan, okay? If that is the case, then he actually managed to predict the steps of a person who comes from Danzo's root, okay? Now this is really impressive because these ninjas are actually trained to kill as well as be unpredictable, and the fact that Shikadai has actually managed to trace or at least predict where this guy is going to make his next move is really impressive. So definitely a lot of characters in this anime are getting character development, but then again, we expect Shikadai to always come up with a plan, but not as accurate as his father's. And if you really think about it, the younger generation have been able to do something that the older generation have not been able to do. So Shikamaru definitely has not been able to work this out, but his son Shikadai has. He comes in, the person has a really cool mask design compared to all these other Ambu which were in root, and then he attacks, right? So the male boss who gets possessed by the chakra snake starts wreaking havoc, and apparently he demonstrates the ability to use wind ninjutsu since he was talking shit about being able to do so, and he attacks all of them with mail like it's gonna hurt them or something. Maybe they might get like a paper cut or two, but I doubt mail can actually hurt you. But he starts destroying everything, and then we have the mailman who is with Boruto and Shikadai and Mitsuki, and he's like, basically they tell him to stay away from the mail boss, and this nigga's like, no, mail is life, so he would rather trade away his life for mail, which is fine by me because, well, fuck him then, because I ain't got time to save someone who would rather die to save a letter. It's like we are out here trying to save lives and this nigga is trying to save a fucking letter. Get the fuck out, bro. No teamwork whatsoever. So he gives a little speech about mail, which arouses the mail boss, thus causing the dark chakra to leave, and then we have Boruto who comes in and literally bodies the guy. Before the chakra leaves, we can see that the chakra has actually become stronger because first it would just just normally disappear, but now it is actually showing some signs of being alive, and the thing about this time is when it disappears, it actually forms a portal. Okay, so I'm getting like Pokemon vibes of here where we have Giratina who opens a portal and shit, and we have those vibes going on, and the portal's about to close, but before that Boruto just grabs a kunai and throws an explosion kunai into the dimension before it closes. Like, that was actually badass to do. So props to Boruto for thinking really quickly and taking out the enemy, or at least trying to take out the enemy when the enemy actually thought that they have won. The person gets away because Mental Lee actually failed to chase him, and the thing is, we see Mitsuki actually stand there when the person is hiding. Now I have three possibilities. It's either Mitsuki is being controlled or the person has threatened Mitsuki's life. The third would be that it is Mitsuki himself who is doing it on his free will, as in the preview he actually says he has something to tell Boruto, so definitely he is giving clues as to what is happening, and as we have seen in previous episodes, he is able to sense the people who have been possessed, so definitely Mitsuki knows what is going on, or potentially the identity of who is behind the attack. Now we also get this clear shot of the Niue, which actually looks a lot like Monkey King Enma, so my prediction that this might be Monkey King Enma or someone or something that looks like Monkey King Enma is actually true, because he actually has the face of a monkey and the fur of the Niue is actually white. With that being said though, it would actually be cool if Boruto's eye could actually control the Niue, because we know that his eyes have abilities, and him being able to summon the Niue is really extraordinary since he never really signed a contract with it. So the fact that he can actually summon this animal might mean that maybe later in the future he will tame this animal, thus making his own summoning companion really unique. Now let's get on to the Q&A section of this video. Now the first question comes from Esteban, and he says, would you also smash Hinata's walls? Like, who? Which straight nigga with the right mind wouldn't smash Hinata's walls, bro? Come on. Next question comes from P. Wee Longway, and he says, do you think the thing Boruto can see with his eye is Enma? Well, it is not Enma, but definitely it is a monkey with white hair, and I predicted this and you also predicted this by writing this comment. Okay, so I hope I answered your question really well. And the next person is King Sass, and he says, when are they gonna form teams and begin the Chunin exams? Well, when they become Genin, they will automatically be assigned in teams, and we know Team Inoshikacho is going to be Shikadai, Chocho, and Inojin, because they are destined to be in a team. And then we have Boruto, Mitsuki, and Sarada. As for the rest, I don't even know if they graduate to become Genin in the first place, as they were not even seen in the Chunin exam of the movie and in the manga version. So it's like, I doubt that they even graduated. Maybe they become like irrelevant after the whole academy arc. Maybe they are just academy students for us to meet, and then we will actually get some proper characters. But in the anime, they are being introduced, or in my opinion, maybe most likely they are gonna graduate and enter the Chunin exam on another occasion. Now with that being said, that has been my review. So if that has been informative, like, subscribe, and obviously hit that notification button and share the video if you enjoyed it that much. With that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As I am done with this review, I have nothing more to say. Bye.